Hey guys, it's Vandy Ezzo, back with Craft Vanguard deck profiles. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, comment, subscribe, and so sorry. This time we're covering DZLM Set 1 Luticia. So Luticia, along with Michu, is one of the only two decks I particularly care about when coming out of when coming out of the new Lyrical Monasterio booster. And, well, let's just say this. I was rewarded for liking Luticia, I think, like, second most or third most originally, because whew, her new form. I love the Beat Stick Rush. So let's go ahead and start, shall we see what we got, because honestly this deck is actually really fun to play and I like it a lot. So first up today we have our energy generator. It's our ride deck crest. You move away ride deck crest in your ride deck, auto ride deck. When you would ride, put this card into your crest zone. If you want second energy charge 3, continues to map to 10 energies, and auto begin your ride phase, energy charge 3, then act once per turn, energy boss 7 to draw a card. So, you know, we've been over this before. You get a free 3 energy every turn. If you win second, you get an extra 3 energy, meaning in your energy based decks you can rush a little bit better with them depending on what they actually do with the energy. And then, you know, if you don't end up using a lot of energy, you can just use the energy boss 7 to get a free draw, which helps increase your hand and allows you to dig for more important units. All around, this card is very nice. I don't remember off the top of my head if anything in here actually costs energy. I'm pretty sure something in here does, and I just don't remember it right now. Yeah, something in here does cost energy, but either way, being able to draw in case you don't see that card is nice. And again, a free 3 energy every turn, that is a nice benefit to have. So obviously this is our ride deck crest, also because Bushy has yet to print another ride deck crest. Then we have our starter in physical training from scratch, Luticia. Grades of boost, 5k shield, 6k base, honorable confidence, can draw cards, standard start free draw if you go second. You don't necessarily need this in your ride deck for your skills to go off, but I do recommend it because there are very specific situations where you might want to have like the grade 0 in your soul. So I like Luticia as the ride deck starter. Again, you can do whatever you want, but I would suggest it just because certain situations, especially if you're like me and you like to rush, so one of her in the ride deck. Then we have our triggers. First up, we run over trigger in Demonic Fever Garveria. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger moment, over trigger your deck. When revealed, add trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose what moves. It gets plus 1 for the turn, and if you revealed it during your draw check, activate. It's just what you get during this fight, you get during your turn, or if a rear guard get plus 10,000 power. So your entire board, albeit not the Vanguard, but everyone else, get plus 10,000 power, meaning your rear guard columns are plus 20s. And in a deck that can get even more numbers out of that and can multi-attack, yeah, that's pretty useful. I like Garveria a lot. She adds a lot of, numbers to the board, makes everything a big hit pressure. You can run Vaughn for multi-attack, or you could run, what's it called? You can run like the Dark Over trigger that heals and calls. You can run either of those, but I prefer Garveria just because, free 10k to the entire board. Who doesn't like it? So one of her. Then we have our normal triggers. Run 2 copies of Transparent Snowy Night Bear Toy, Grid Zone Boost, 5k Shield, 4k Power, 2 copies of Spirit Real. Oh, never mind then. I thought I ran, what's it called? It's like, anyways, Bear Toy then. Continues Guard Circle, plus Vanguards are great 3 greater, plus 5,000 shield, 10,000 shield, and it's a draw trigger, so it helps increase the hand, which is nice in a deck that kind of needs to search out very specific cards for it to go turbo mode. So being able to get your hand up is nice, and again, being a 10k shield in a deck that focuses on orders is also very nice. So 2 of Transparent Night Bear Toy. Then we have 2 copies of Spiritual, so Richalada, Grade Zone Boost, 50k shield, 5k power. Okay, if you're smart and you're still doing what I'm doing and just randomly shoving 2 of every trigger into this deck, because why the hell not, then you would make this no skip Palavi. But if you are me, you probably made the Spiritual Richalda on the simple factors of it is a combination of 2 things that are very similar to each other for you in terms of name, and it also has a moon in the background. To be fair, it's worth it. In my opinion, it's worth it. I don't need the extra 5k shit if I get to make a bit with it. So Spiritual Richalda, it's a nice grade 0. You can make a Snow Skip Palvi. Hell, you can just ditch this all together, because I don't think the deck needs fronts. I just want it here because why not? So 2 of Spiritual. Then we move on to our criticals. 3 copies of Gluttonor, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. This is probably the only deck that I have right now that doesn't have God Leave as the extra crit, just simply because I knew how to get Gluttonor faster than I could get God Leave. So there's that. But, we have 3 crits. It's giving anything you want. So to make it her because she fits the theme kind of Luticia. And then we have 4 copies of Precious Tune Edwidge, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, and then that boosted. Shove it to soul, choose more minions, you get 2k for the turn. Okay, that 2k is not going to do anything unless it's in a very specific situation with very specific units, but hey, that free 2k might be helpful then, so it's worth having it for that. Also just because it can go to soul, so if you are going very aggressive early on and you kind of need better options, you can always use Edwidge to get your soul up. There's a reason why I say better options. Either way though, we got 7 crits going into this for the aggressive rush, especially because the Vanguard is almost always going to be restanding. We got fronts for extra numbers in case you're not on the new Luticia, and we got draw triggers to help circle out your cards. And then, of course, we have our heal trigger to keep us alive, and that is Languid Relaxation Marguerite. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, standard heal, and spell. You can really run any heal. I just choose to make it Marguerite. If you want to run counter heals, you can. I only don't run counter heals just because I don't like their skills, but I mean, take that as you will. I also just love the fact that she has a green moon in the background, and outside of like her being a ghost, that's kind of why she's here. Then move on to our grade 1s. First one, 4 copies of Anitha Bitter Twinkle. Of course, the name changed. I checked every other name change except for this one. Anyways, grade 1 grade 1 Blitz order, my bad. Play this card here, Vanguard Luticia, and its card name. Doesn't matter if it's grade 0, though technically speaking, you can't play the order while you're on grade 0, but if you found a way to increase your Vanguard's grade while you were still technically on the grade 0, then technically you can play this, but pretty much the second you get to grade 1, you can play this. Play this card by putting it into your soul, then choose one of your units, it gets 15,000 power for battle, and then if your soul has 4 more curse plays, draw a card. So here's a fun little thing about this. It just says, unlike most Blitz orders, choose one of your units. Not choose one of your units that is battling, just choose one of your units. So if you want to play this, just to send it to soul, maybe get a draw off it, just so you can increase your soul count but still take the damage so you can, use counterblast next turn, you can. But all around, it's a very good card because you can defensively start using this the second you get to grade 1, which basically means the second you ride for the first time in the game. It's a free 15k shield, which helps stack up the soul very early for, Luticia's curse plays. And then, if you end up getting 4 more, including itself, you get to draw an extra card, which is nice to have. So all around, I like Slap Twinkle a lot. I think it's a good Blitz order just all around, and it definitely helps Luticia around a lot, so 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of, hands down, my favorite of the Luticia curse play orders, Cursed Sugar Sparkle. Grade 1, normal order, play with your Vanguard's Luticia and a card name. Again, like Slap Twinkle over here, works the second you get to grade 1. Shove it to soul, then soul charge 1. Then you have to 1 card from your soul with a grade less than equal to your Vanguard, call it to rear guard circle, 5,000 power for that turn. So you get a free rear guard, which will most likely be at least an 11k or 13k base. And the reason why I specify that is because Cursed Sugar Sprinkle, if you play like me, you mulligan for this, and you play it the second you get to attack. I am not kidding. If there are games where I'm going second and I have this in my hand, screw rating, I will actively play this knowing full well that I'm only going to be able to hit out a grade 0 or grade 1 if I manage to soul charge it, even though I'm at grade 1, and just straight up call out the grade 0 half the time just so I have an 11k swinger. Because I like the aggro. Is it smart? No. Does it work? Weirdly enough, yes. So, 4 of Cursed Sugar Sparkle, it's a nice order. It's a free double solar charge, technically speaking. You get a unit. If it restands that turn, which granted none of the rear guards in the deck restand, but you get a unit, it gets 5k. What's like about it? It's a good 4 of, and also this is the order I search most of the time if I ever get like a choice between searching the orders. Then we have 4 copies of Stay Awake Caravera, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, continues rear guard during your turn. If you played a curse play this turn, she gets 5,000 power, 13k base. This is me calling out the fandom. Why is this not on the fandom page for Luticia support? Because when I was putting this deck together, I literally couldn't find her. I had to go look up her Discord name. Then I had to go just like into the booster set and pray that they didn't change the name on the fandom, and thankfully they didn't. But either way, though, being a 13k base is nice the turn you play a curse play order, which, guess what? Works when either player is at grade 1, which means you can play this, soul charge, call up the grade 0, make it an 11k, call this, suddenly it's a 13k. Suddenly you got a front row of a 13k, an 8k, and 11k. If your opponent doesn't pull triggers, you got a good rush going in on your first grade 1 turn, which is all around pretty solid. And then act rear guard once per turn by dishing a hand card, choose a curse play from your drop zone, put to hand. Cool. Say, for example, you end up hitting a curse play into your damage zone, and you're kind of whiffing all your curse plays this game, but you heal that one in your damage zone. You can discard one at any point with Carvia to get that curse play back in play. And again, it's probably going to be Sugar Sparkle, unless you really need the defensive option, then in that case, Bitter Twinkle. Either way, though, Carvia is a very nice grade 1. She helps recycle your curse plays for you. She's also a 13k base when the second you play a curse play, which means you can be really aggressive with her. And all around, she just makes for a really good grade 1. I like her a lot, so she's an easy 4 for me. Then we have 4 copies of our PG and Musical Committee Nicoline. Finally, the deck this PG works in. Grade 1 boost is 0/0. Okay, basic and change test. Only have 4 Sentinels in deck and also put on guard circle. Choose one of your units. It cannot be hit till the battle if your hand has 2 or more cards in it. Choose a card from your hand. Discard it. Standard PG. Nothing too special about it. Basically means if this only one of the cards is in your hand, we place it on guard circle. You don't have to discard one's great because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game. Spam and spam like there's no tomorrow. And then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you for that, throw down this, and if you have low enough hand cards, you're not discarding. Because if you want to know what my board typically looks like with this deck, go watch the Luticia versus Kyoka game, and even though it's not exactly the same version of this deck, you will get a good idea of what my board consistently looks like. And if you don't want to go watch that game, you just want the explanation here, I will have 1 or 2 hand cards at the start of my grade 3 turn. both because I chose to guard 1 or 2 attacks, but because my board is either mostly full or is actually full by my, like, before either player gets to grade 3. So 4 of Nickeling, very solid PG. You can run any of the Lyrical Monasterio PGs. I choose to make it the Nickeling because she fits the Luticia theme. Then we have our last grade 1 in the deck, 1 of in the ride deck, and then in the main deck of Staying on Even Days, Luticia. Grade 1 boost of 5k shield, 8k base, auto and wrote upon by a grade 2 card Luticia in his card name. Put a hand card at bottom, then search your deck for 1 curse play, reveal, put your hand, shuffle your deck. I don't know why this happens, but like every time I'm going to use this skill and I don't have like the ideal target in my hand, the deck will just auto give me a critical trigger, which I can then bounce to the bottom and then just, you know, get a crit back on deck, which is pretty solid. So the fact that this thing can shuffle triggers back is great, but again, searches your deck for a free curse play. You can make it Bitter Twinkle. You can make it this one, but I mean, we all know which one I'm going to pick 9 times out of 10 just because, you know, Soul Charge Aggression. And the weird thing is, because I tend to, like, if I don't open with one of these, the first thing I will do instinctively when I get this into my hand is play it, Soul Charge it, and unless I flip a grade 2 off the Soul Charge, I'm probably just going to call this Luticia as a 13k body just to either hit someone or if I can make a board as a 13k booster for the Vanguard. Either way, Luticia is a nice grade 1 to have. Bot decks, searches, what's about an easy one of in the ride deck. Then move on to our grade 2s. 2 copies of our grade 2 curse play order, Wishing Your Happiness. The thing is, I know this is on TCG players, so now, as I'm looking at this, I'm questioning, why didn't I just go look this up when I knew it was on TCG player just to get the English art? I don't understand. But either way, though, grade 2 normal order, play this of your Vanguards, a Luticia in his card name, choose a card from your hand, choose a card from your soul, put it to your hand, then put this card into your soul, then if your soul has 2 more curse plays, choose a card from your drop zone, shove it to soul, then choose a use 5,000 power until the end of that turn. So, pretty much, to give you a constellation of this, you get a free soul card back to your hand. So if you soul charge the PG off of Sugar Sparkle over here, you can get that PG back. Then it goes to soul for itself, so that's another curse play. And then if you have any other curse play in your soul along with this card, you get a card from your drop zone subject to soul. Again, the same situation as her. If you damage checked a curse play and you healed it, you can just shove it right to soul, so skip the middle step. And then someone gets 5k. Doesn't matter if it's Vanguard, doesn't matter if it's Rear Guard, which all around is pretty solid. So you can give your restanding Vanguard extra numbers, even if it's only 5k. You can do it for free. You get a soul card back to hand, you get this back to soul, and you possibly get another soul card on top of it. All around, Wishing for Your Happiness is an incredible grade 2 order. It is so good, and it's like the best part about all of these orders is like all of them are free. The only requirements are you have to have a Luticia Vanguard, and that's it. And this entire deck is always going to be on Luticia. Well, it's free. So 2 of Wishing for Happiness is a really good order. I like having it. I think it's just nice. Then we have 4 copies of Overflow Happiness Monasterio, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto when placed on rear guard circle if your Vanguard's Luticia. Doesn't matter if it's the grade 1, 2, 0, or 3. I mean, you're not going to be able to play it on the 0 or 1 without like doing some cheap superior call plays. But, you know, if you manage to get it out there, or you do just have it on the grade 2 or grade 3, you can use the skill. Check top 3, choose 1 card from among them, shove it to soul, and put the rest on bottom. So this is what I like to call attempting to hit a Sugar Sparkle into soul. I don't know why specifically Sugar Sparkle. It's just always me and Sugar Sparkle are the only 2 cards in this deck apparently. But either way though, being able to check the top 3 and possibly send one of your 10 curse plays to soul is pretty solid. It's just nice to have. And then auto rear guard when you attacks if your soul has 2 more curse plays in it. This unit gets 5,000 power for that battle. Then if your soul has 4 more curse plays in it, gets 15k instead of the 5k. So I'm gonna tell you this right now. Consistently, this deck, unless you brick hard, will be able to open with like 2 to 3 curse plays in soul without like any extra requirements by the time you get to grade 3. Now if you open perfectly like I do on like 2 in particular games in my mind, you can hit 6 by your second grade 3 turn. Hell, technically speaking, you can hit 6 by your first grade 3 turn if you open perfectly. But being able to hit some orders into soul is nice. Sadly, I just never hit them off her. And sadly, well, but then again, though, I don't send triggers to bottom off her skill, so it's not like it's the end of the world. And again, being a 25k swing is pretty solid. Not to mention the fact she does that while your opponent's at grade 2 as well. So if you do manage to hit like the like 4 curse plays into soul while your opponent's still at grade 2, she's a 25k swinger, which is very solid to have. And real quickly, one question I didn't answer, why I put Wishing for Happiness as a 2 of and didn't like put it up to higher copies. Well, A, I like having more normal units to actually call it rear guard, and B, we all can clearly see that I like Sugar Sparkle the most, and also I just really feel like I need the defensive option, so that's why Wishing Your Happiness is at lower copies than everything else. Then move on to our next grade 2, 4 copies of Lottery Lollipop Miriam, grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when this unit is placed on rearguard circle. If you have Vanguard Luticia as card name, ditch a hand card, check top 7, choose the 2 cards, place from one, reveal them, put them to hand, shuffle the deck. And if you do not reveal a card, draw a card. Okay, so she never goes off the way you would like her to. Ideally, you either hit 2 things and you get basically 1 extra hand card out of this, both hand cards being cards that, you know, activate your deck skills, or you don't hit anything, but you at least get to replace the hand cards you lost. Me, I get the one option you don't want, which is you get 1 curse play, which doesn't sound like a problem, but it's always like the curse play I want the least. To be more specific, if 95% of the time it's Slap Twinkle, but like the few times that I want a Slap Twinkle, it will give me either a Curse Sugar Sparkle or Wishing Your Happiness, so she's kind of out for me on that one. And then continues rear guard. If you have played a curse play this turn, boost. So basically, either play this, or if you're me, play this, call a rear guard. She'll be boosting the entirety of this turn, which all around makes her pretty solid. Again, early game rush. Like, I will actively throw down Miriam, I will throw down Carvea, I will throw down Monasterio, whatever of the 2 Luticia cards that you normally have in Soul, I will throw down with Sugar Sparkle unless I hit any of these guys with it. Like, all around, she works really well for like board game rush at the start, and then when your opponent kind of like kills off your rear guard, you have to swap your positions around. You can always just move her to the back row and she'll be able to boost whoever's in front of her. Miriam is a very solid grade 2. I do like her a lot. I think she's good. She's a nice 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Chair Starlight Rosato. Great to have 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when she's a card from your hand by your card's ability during your turn. So sadly, she will only proc off by Luticia in this deck, but still, if you have Vanguard Luticia in this card name, Energy Blast 3, draw a card. Okay. So she's a cheaper version of your energy generator because, you know, it's just 3 energy to draw compared to 7, but it also has to proc specifically when she's discarded for Luticia. But hey, it's a solid skill to have. And then auto drop zone when you play a curse play order during their turn. Counterblast 1, call to rearguard circle, and she'll get Pathfinder power for that turn. All around, pretty solid. I'm still waiting for the day that Bushy makes Blitz orders proccable during your turn. So you can kind of use, like, I know if they do that, they're going to make a new Zorga to do that with, but also just so like decks that want to use a bunch of orders, like this one can have more multi-attack options, because that would be fun, being able to Blitz order during your battle phase and then call this card to rear guard. Either way though, it's a 15k, she recycles herself, so if you're playing against a board nuke deck, you can kind of just rebuild a board almost immediately, especially because at least at the start you're going to be rushing with everything you've got, so if they do hit you back, yeah, at least you got something that can call itself back. And again, it's the free draw if you discard via Luticia, which can help up your hand and possibly get you more curse plays into cards. So 4 of Chair Starlight, very solid grade 2. Then we have those grade 2 in the deck, 1 up in the red deck, and on the main deck of Heavy Leaning on Expectations, Luticia. Grade 2 instead 5k shield, 10k base, contains Vanguard Circle. If your soul has a curse play card in it, when you would ride a grade 3 card Lutician's card from your ride deck, you can Soul Blast 1 Luticia card instead to choose a card from your hand instead of choose a card from your hand, discard it. So basically, you Soul Blast 1 to ride instead. There will be a few times where you can't use that skill. There was one specific time that I couldn't use that skill because it obviously can't Soul Blast itself since it's still in Vanguard Circle. And that was the time where I played double Sugar Sparkle, which means I yeeted both of these out from Soul. And because I didn't Soul Charge either, well, this was long before this came out, but since I didn't Soul Charge this, that basically meant that I couldn't do the Superior Ride for free. But hey, Luticia is still a very solid grade 2. She can basically make your cost free, which is really good, especially if you're like early game rushing and you're low on hand cards. So 1 of Luticia in the ride deck, good grade 2 to have. Even if she's like not as interactive with the rush plays, she definitely helps support it because again, you don't have to lose hand cards, which is very important in that regard. So 1 of in the ride deck. Then we have our grade 3s, 4 copies of probably my favorite outright of all the dress ups, which is weird because I thought she was going to be my least favorite, and that is Rive Etoile Luticia. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Ride, 13k base. Dress Up, Grimoire, Etoile, Luticia. During this fight, this unit is also regarded as a specified card. So during deck building, you can have max copies of both these, but during the fight, they'll be the same, so they can Persona Ride off top of each other. Continuous, it can only be written from a grade 3 unit with Luticia in its card name, so don't even try shoving this in your ride deck. Auto, when this unit is placed on Vanguard, wait, written from, yeah. So I was trying to make sure, because written from and rode upon are 2 different wording texts. Anyways, auto, when placed on Vanguard Circle, search your deck or drop zone from 1 curse play, reveal it, put your hand, shuffle your deck. So if you searched it. So basically, if there's any of these left in deck, you can just deck them for them, or you can just bounce them back from drop if they somehow didn't end up in Soul. Then it has 2 abilities, Active Vanguard once per turn, Counterblast 1, and this unit gets all the following until the end of the turn according to the number of curse plays in your Soul. 2 or more, which is almost immediately going to happen always. Continues Vanguard, your entire form gets 10,000 power. Cool, the entire front row just gives 10k, and that's a continuous ability, so it just stays unless you lose the 2 curse plays. 4 or more, Auto Vanguard, once per turn at the end of battle that attacked into anything, ditch a hand card, stand her, and she'll lose 1 drive for the turn. Okay, so 23k if you Persona roll, 33k with a restand with only 1 drive, and then 6 or more, this unit's drives cannot be reduced by this unit's effects. So quad drive. Now, I want to let this be clear. The second you place her, considering it's going to be a Persona ride, since you're going to have to place her from this, that is a free 20k to your front row if you pay the single counterblast for this. Better yet, even in the very important part, even if you do not have curse plays left to search with this skill, if you look at her wording closely, nothing in here says you have to play a curse play this turn. You just have to have them in soul. So even if you have no curse plays left, CB1, you got 2 or more in soul, plus 10. 4 or more, restand. If you do have the 6 or more, restand without losing drives. This card is amazing on the offense, and you can imagine my shock in that game with Kyoka when I learned that I just get a free 20k to front row, and I can just, I'm being rewarded for rushing like active hell in the early game. So for Rive, she is a very powerful grade 3 if left alone, and if you make it to that point where you can use her, well, if you've been aggroing like I do, your opponent is either in for one hell of a time or they are dead upon impact. So for Rive, very solid grade 3. I love her a lot. Just great. Then we have last card in the deck, one in the ride deck, none in the main deck, because this is just inherently better. 1 Grimoire Étoile Luticia. Grade 3, 2.5%, 13k base, Auto Vanguard. When you play normal order, plus 5 power for that turn. I will never remember that skill, but 18k every time you, or not 18k, 18k the first time you play a curse play. For some reason, Luticia doesn't have an inherent way to play multiple orders in a turn on her own, which is interesting considering the fact that Ballista got one in her first set, but is what is. And then Auto Vanguard once per turn. Once you attacks the Vanguard, counterblast one from all the following according to the number of curse plays in your soul. So again, like Reveille, it doesn't matter if you play them that turn, so it's going to get the abilities off anyways. It's just better if you play them that turn. 2 or more, you draw a card, so you can plus 7 power for that turn. 4 or more at the end of battle, ditch a hand card, stand her, she'll lose a drive. So 18k guaranteed regardless if you play normal order or not, but if you do play normal order, she's a 23k, and you get a free hand card, which pretty much turns into your ditch fodder for this, and probably is your restand target for that. Or not your restand, but like your ditch target. Either way though, she's a nice grade 3 to have, don't get me wrong. She's a solid grade 3 to be on for your first grade 3 turn, where she allows you to increase your hand cards and kind of like build up a consistency before you go into this. But like as past that first grade 3 turn, you're gonna want this, because no matter what, at least going on that Persona ride turn, you got a free 20 going for you, and past that you got at least a free 10 every single turn as long as you have CB. So yeah, this one wins. Either way though, she is a nice grade 3 to have, so she deserves the warrant one of in the ride deck, if not only because this cannot be ran in the ride deck. And without further ado, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this deck is actually very fun to play. The fact that you can just stupidly go aggro from turn 1 is just amazing, and that you can just make a board out of nowhere, have so many ways to get a bunch of orders into soul, and if you do end up opening well and you hit all 6 by the time you get to this grade 3, well, your opponent's in for one hell of a ride. Hell, even if you don't hit all 6 by the time you hit grade 3, as long as you hit 4, oh, your opponent's in for one hell of a ride. Especially if you hit 4 while you were on this one. So you've had 2 turns of restand, and one of them's going to have plus 20 to the front row. If you can't tell, that plus 20 to the front row mentally broke me a little bit when I first played it. So without further ado, I'm going to this one here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, and I'll see you on this one. Don't forget up your Vanguards.